Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Shabbat class, the 6th of May, 2023. Okay. We'll be going in today, so you embrace yourself. We'll be dealing with the myth of the myth of the cursed race. Okay. And with that being said, I'm gonna ask everybody to go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. There's a lot of information given, and the videos will connect dots for you and lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. Tanakh, so-called Old Testament. Okay. If you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and that would be greatly appreciated. Okay. And for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being is another name for the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our Sabbath class. We're going to do our normal, before we get into the meat of the class, is moment of silence. We're going to do our Sabbath prayer, we'll read the Psalms, we'll do some current events, they'll need to know information. Then we'll open it up for some questions and comments and some dialogue. And then we'll go into the topic, like I said, which is myth of a cursed race, so-called cursed race upon the earth. Okay, so with that being said, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come before Thee on that Sabbath day, bow down with great respect for our Redeemer and our Creator. Oh Lord, you confess through your prophet Isaiah that you would return unto us, and that you would pour out your Spirit upon us. And you have done this, O Lord, in great fashion. And because of that, we have found out who you are within the Holy Scriptures, okay, and who we are. Great in counsel and mighty in thy works, for thy eyes are open upon the ways of men, to give everyone according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. O Lord, behold, thou hast made the heavens and the earth by thy great power and thy stretched out hand, and nothing is too hard for thee. And knowing all these things, O Lord, we eagerly await thy coming, the day in which thou wilt break the yoke of our oppressors and deliver us. Peace be unto thee. Okay. And with that being said, we're going to do some read a song right quick. Okay. I'll read Psalms 10, and it's a prayer for the overthrow of the wicked. Why standest thou far off, O Lord? Why hidest thyself in the time of trouble? The wicked in his pride do persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasteth of his heart desire, and blessed the covetous, whom the Lord abhorred. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. His judgments are far above out of his sight. For all his enemies he puffeth at them. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursings and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doeth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privately set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doeth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. He croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. He hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hideth his face. He will never see. Arise, O Lord, O God, lift up thine hand. Forget not thy humble. Wherefore doeth the wicked contempt God? He hath said in his heart, Thou art not, thou, thou wilt not require it. Thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest mischief and spite to requite it with thy hand. The poor committeth himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. Break thou the arm of the wicked, and the evil man. Seek out his wickedness till thou find none. The Lord is king forever and ever. The heathens are perished out of his land. Lord, thou hast heard the desires of the humble. Thou wilt prepare their hearts. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the man of the earth may no more oppress. So that was Psalms 10, the prayer for the overthrow of the wicked. Any comments on that? Excuse me.
Um, I'll comment that the enticing way of Samuel when they that he would, like attack the poor, because when you don't have anything and something looks good to you, that's when Samuel will come in and make something little look like it's large, like it's a good thing, but all he does is turn around and make you look like a fool by, being indulging in it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Number 9 says, He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in the den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doeth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. So that last part, when he draweth him in his net. So the more and more verse you get with the scriptures and understanding the truth of the scriptures, you can't be drawn in that net. Okay, that's how that go. When just like when we was reading last night about the garden story, he came and drawed Eve into a net out of being innocent and naive to a lot of things. She was drawn in the net, but we learned later through Adam and through Eve from that experience. They went got knowledge. You weren't able to draw them into that net no more.
Right. Shabbat shalom, everyone. I wanted to point out something, Brother Leonard, what I get out of this. And it's like David is pointing out the fact and realizing that it's God that has permitted, the wicked to triumph over the holy people, the righteous people. You know, uh,
Okay.
it is him that is doing this, that he has control over everything. But then at the end he knows that no matter what, it is the Lord that is gonna turn it around again. it,
Right,
it is
exactly.
almost like our present condition today is the Lord, that has
Right,
permitted the wicked to triumph over us.
right. And it's, yeah, right. Two things. It says that look at his creation. You better understand him
Yes,
by
sir.
looking at his creation. Well, he created spring, winters, this 4 seasons. So when spring comes, fall coming. I don't give a damn what's happening in spring. It's
Right.
only a time. Some fall gonna come. And then the former and the latter rain. He brought the former rain. It's a time coming. The latter rain coming. So you look at that, and for as events happening in your life, this might be happening now, but you got to understand, like David said, he hear the cry of the humble. He hear the cry of his people. So if you're in a fix, you're only gonna be in that fix for so long because your God, your creator, he coming. That's what we're waiting on now.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
that's automatic. That's how he works. So
Right.
to get lined up and stressed out about anything is
Right.
it's a lack of understanding. It's the place where you at. That you got to move to a place of understanding who he is
Right.
and what he's
Shalom.
capable.
Yes, sir.
Right,
Shalom. I want to go back to that, and I understand, because it is prophecy in the beginning, and it tells how it's going to be. Um, Again, the Most High allows, because He gives the will. He allows those things because it's prophetic. Um, at the same time, and I'm just asking this question, just like Samuel. Enticed Eve in the garden. He made himself, you know, um, look good to her, just enticing, and then you go back to when you were reading in 10 in Genesis and talked about the poor. Is that
right.
poor in spirit? Uh, that they're, when you say poor, is that the poor in spirit?
Well, it goes back to what I was saying about seed.
Mm-hmm.
When he created Adam, Adam didn't have all these things that we dealing with now. This whole world, this beast system, we didn't have those characteristics. We,
Right.
we've we've learned these characteristics over in the process of time. But Adam was humble. Adam was meek. That's what poor in spirit means. He's not puffed up. That's what Satan kicked out of heaven. He got puffed up. But poor in spirit, poor, humble, meekness, like with Moses. Moses at one time is slated to be the Pharaoh, and then he was a known commander in the army. But Aaron and Miriam were strong on him. So why? Because he got a meek spirit. They were trying to round rod him. Then the Lord of hosts came in and took care of that. They say Moses is a meek man. How is he meek after all he can accomplish? That's
Okay.
in the DNA. That's in our DNA. That's how we got over here. When they came, they came, we trying to help them. We looking at them and seeing that they don't look right, they pale, and they don't look like us, but we still try to help them. Next thing you know, they bring us over on slave ships. It's because of our kindness. That's where he come in at, because that's how he made us.
Yes, sir.
You
So
know, with
poor.
all that, with all the drama and all that stuff that people do, not, we're not with that. That's not what's in our spirit.
Yes, sir. So
Right,
again, when you go back and it says the poor in spirit, i.e., meaning the meek, the humble. Um,
right,
so if you are poor in spirit, you're easily attracted to the bewitching of Samuel L. Is that because it's talking, isn't it talking about if you're not, connected to the Most High in a way that you can turn away from the wicked ways and not let that, like you say, you don't have to worry about all that, because it'll happen for, when we talked about the process of time, in a time, it'll happen in a time that everything is coming back to us. So
right,
these
right,
foreign spirit ones, are these the ones that Samuel wants to attack, and he's telling us that, if you are not careful, you can be persuaded otherwise, because of the humbleness and the meekness, that someone looks at you and think that they can take over. Is that
right.
the what is really meaning?
Well, it's the wicked. Like I was saying, I'm breaking down. They got you thinking that we all got these two different sides to us, wickedness and righteousness. But when the Most High talking, it's some people that's wicked. It
Right.
came from the serpent. So that's who the one attacking us. They're
Right.
attacking our counters is that we making it in spirit, and they coming they coming against that, knowing that we like that. And so
Okay.
the Most High, that's why we have a Savior. That's his role. Come in and protect us because of that.
Yes, sir.
Right. So I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
Go to David and Abigail, right? Let me get it. Yeah, okay, gotta keep going. This in 2 Samuel, 1 Samuel. Yeah, here you go. So it says,
Excuse me, sir. What book are you?
1 Samuel,
Where you at,
1
brother?
Samuel, 1
Okay.
Samuel, chapter 25.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So we're dealing with the spirit of the Israelite, right? So it says, David asked for help. We're starting with verse 2 in chapter 25. And there was a man in Mount Maon, I guess it is Maon, whose possessions were in Carmel, and the man was very great. And he had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was shearing the sheep in Carmel. Now now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail, and she was a woman of good understanding and of a beautiful countenance. But the man was currish and evil in his doings, and he was of the house of Caleb. So right here we see this is total opposite spirit right here of what we just talked about. So David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did shear his sheep, and David sent out 10 young men, and David said unto the young men, get ye up to Carmel and go to Nabal and greet him in my name, and thus shall ye say unto him that liveth in prosperity, peace be both to thee, and peace be to thine house, and peace be unto all that thou hast. And now I have heard that thou hast shears. Now my shepherds which were with us, we hurt them not, neither was there any aught missing unto them, all while they were in Carmel. Ask thy young men, and they will show thee. Wherefore, let the young men find favor in thine eyes. For we come in a good day. Give I pray thee, whatsoever cometh to thine hand unto the servants and unto his son David, to thy son David. And when David's young men came, they spake to Nabal according to all the words in which in the name of David, and ceased. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, who is David? And who is this son of Jesse? There be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master. Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shearers and give them unto men whom I know not? See, this is the mind of a wicked ass person. You gotta understand it, and you have to understand when those things come. If you thinking like that, you gotta do something with it, because it ain't this wicked. So he says 12. And David's young men turned their way and went again and came to him all the days, came to him all those sayings. And David said unto his men, gird ye every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword. And David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men and 200 ball by the stuff. So here we go right here. So now David, Moses, Joseph, all them just like got the same. They got the same counters as Abel. When Abel came to talk to Cain wicked as hell. Abel came to him in a meek spirit and told him, you know, asked him why you count us? What's up with you? So he turned around, tell him and killed him. So right here, David sent in a meek spirit, sent and said, we out here, he got these mighty men with him. Remember, he got these mighty men. He could have strong armed them, killed all his sheep, and got what he wanted. But him being a shepherd, raised as a shepherd, he lined all this Nabal stuff out for him. He used these giants, these men, and lined everything out. So he sent to him in a righteous, contrite spirit, said, peace be to you, peace be your household, everything. We need some supplies. But he returned, he came and retaliated with wickedness. So now David finna return in wickedness. He ain't he got a meek spirit, but David dangerous. But he dealing with him in a meek spirit. So when he came with him like that, David on his way to show him what wickedness is. So, but that ain't right. So look what the Most High do. 14. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, "Behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master." And he railed at them. But the men were very good unto us, and we were not hurt, neither missed we anything, as long as we were conversing with them when we were in the field. They were a wall unto us, both by night and day, all while they were with them keeping the sheep. Now, therefore, know and consider what thou wilt do, for evil is determined against our, look at this, evil is determined against our master and against all his household, and he is such as the son of Belial, that a man cannot speak. So David's going to show him what time it is. So 18, then Abigail made haste. This is Yahweh, Lord of hosts. And Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves of 200 loaves, 2 bottles of wine, 5 sheep ready dressed, and 5 measures of parched corn, and 100 clusters of raisins, 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on asses. And she said unto her servants, "Go on before me." See, go on, I'm coming, but we got to cut this Negro off. So it says, and she said unto her servants, "Go on before me, before I am, for behold, I come after you." But she told not her husband Nabal. And it was so, as she rode on the asses, that she came down by the covert of the hill, and behold, David and his men came against her, and she met them. Now David had said, "Surely in vain have I kept all that this fellow have in his wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that pertained unto him. He have requited me evil for good." See that? So and more also do God unto the enemies of David. If I leave of all that pertaineth to him by the morning light, any that pisseth against the wall. And when Abigail saw David, she hastened and lit off her ass and fell before David on her face and bowed herself to the ground and fell at his feet and said, "Upon me, my Lord, upon me let this iniquity be, and let thine handmaiden, I pray thee, speak in thine audience and hear the words of thy Lord, of thine handmaiden. Let not my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man Belial, even the Baal, for as his name is, so is he. And the Baal is his name. Folly is with him. But I then, but thine handmaiden saw not the young men of my Lord whom thou didst send. Now therefore, my Lord, ask the Lord, as the Lord liveth, and as the soul lieth, seeing the Lord hath withholden thee from coming to shed blood, and from avenging thyself with him with thine own hands. Now let thine enemies and they that seek evil to my Lord be as Nabal. She cut it off. She got shot David mind, put him back where he supposed to be.
Right.
David was going to go show him what time it was. But the Lord sent Abigail to told him, you a man with a contrite spirit.
The spirit.
You super sharp.
Hallelujah.
You don't bounce back off of it. You don't recruit. You don't go evil with evil. That ain't in your countenance. So he sent Abigail to cut him off, and Abigail, this is the Lord of hosts talking through Abigail.
Come
That
on.
ain't Abigail talking. And he
That's
got
right.
David's mind right. So what happened? She saved David from going and slaughtering all them people. You think he's going to ever get that out of his mind? He slaughtered all these people? No. Most High cut him off. And so what happened? He backtracked and came back and got Abigail. He saw
Right.
the significance of it. He's going to
Hallelujah.
show him. He's going to show him, like I said, Moses dangerous. He was a commander in Egypt. But his countenance, he got a contrite spirit. Miriam shot a strong arm. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The Lord host came in, not Moses. The Lord host came in and took the melanin out of her.
Right.
He gonna do you way better than
Way
David or
worse.
someone
Right.
else. He gonna do you
Come on.
bad. You gotta wait on him. You gotta wait on him. You know, you getting beside yourself. That's how that works. Yeah.
Come on,
A,
Brother Leonard. Hallelujah.
a great example, sir, that really, put the light, shine the light on it is a great
Right.
example how, he sent Abigail to, just like, before Nabal, to be the, in so much words, an intercessor, to plead for him, and because she says his name is a fool, and he acts just like his name.
Right.
He's a fool
Right.
to go against David, and his
Right.
humbleness come to him to ask him for things. Thank you so much. Shalom.
Right. Right. And notice that Bilal, those that take you back to the sins of Cain. And then we notice in when the Levite went to go get his wife in the land of Benjamin, and they came to the door seeking him, and they wouldn't, and the Levite, the man wouldn't allow them to have a Levite, so he gave him his concubine, and they raped and killed and beat her to death. So these same people,
Hmm.
the spirit, like I said, it's the seed. You have to understand that. And so why did he cast us out over here? He told us, I'm gonna catch you all. You think I've been doing all this stuff for you, making it easy for you. You thinking I'm supposed to do it naturally, or it come naturally. Well, I'm gonna kick you out over here where they is, and let you see what evil really is. That's where we at now. And so you have to,
Yes,
being that
sir.
we in a lot of, being that we in a lot of days, you can't do what they doing. You
Shalom.
got a contrite spirit. You got a humble spirit, meek spirit. You can't, counteract what they doing.
Right. Right.
Right.
When you wait on the Lord, like you say, He gonna do them worse than you can. So don't do evil for evil when you
Oh yeah.
know your Lord. He gonna take care of it.
Shalom.
Right.
That's right.
They're
Yes.
gonna do you
Hallelujah.
bad. They're gonna do them real bad.
Oh yeah.
Look at um um Ahaz and his wife. Look what happened with her at the end. Dogs licked her. You know what I'm saying? He told him what was gonna happen to her, so the prophet believed what he said, and then there he was. He's standing right there when they threw her. The men threw her over the side of the thing on the ground, and the dog licked her.
Mm.
See
And
what I mean? When you could have came up there and try to take vengeance on your own, and looking like a fool, just let the Lord do it.
right. And like his wife, when he told them to leave those things and get out,
Right.
don't look back, and then she wanted to look back.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Right. And so to the second witness to that is the question is Isaiah right quick when he says, and this is some of the primate on, let it primate. I mean Isaiah 66 says, uh, thus says the Lord, this the Lord of hosts, the heavens is my throne and the earth is my footstool. This is Isaiah 66 and 1. Thus says the Lord, the heavens is my throne, the earth is my footstool. Where is the house that thou built unto me? And where is the place of my rest? For all these things have of my hands made, all these things have been, said the Lord. Now here you go. This answers the question. But to this man will I look. To this man will I look, even him of a poor and a contrite spirit, and tremble at my word. There it is. See that? That's what we dealing with. You see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there it is. All right. So with that being said, we're gonna go into some let me see on that current events. Okay, okay. Hey, shalom, shalom, guys. Shalom. Yes, welcome to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. In this video, we want you to prepare now. That's simple. Just prepare, because it's time to prepare.
Don't wait until the last minute to prepare.
Don't wait till the last months to prepare.
That's true though, because we were preparing for years. That's true.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
So recently, we've been getting questions. This is a very popular questions that we get. Can we get a job here, or could we help someone get a job on the continent of Africa? And my answer is no. You really can't. You really have to prepare yourself to not be working a job here, because that's really not possible. The wages that they get paid is not going to be the same as you're used to. So, like I say, if you don't believe me, you can call the job, you can call companies and stuff and see. But they're going to tell you the same answer that I'm telling you now. That's no. So, in this video, we're just going to be talking about and give you some tips on how to prepare.
Even the laws, specifically here in Tanzania, they will not hire foreigners. Like, companies have to hire Tanzanian workers. Like, they can only hire like one foreigner for every 3 to 4 workers, something like that, every 2 people. And even when you establish a business here, you have to partner with a local if you want to be able to move around and buy land and do stuff like that. So it's a totally different system than America. And even in America right now, there's a lot of layoffs, and there's been a lot of layoffs since 2020. So they had like the tech where they would hire a lot of people. Then a year later, they laid them all off. And so I saw something on LinkedIn the other day where they're laying even more people off. Like 23,000 people are losing their jobs in these different companies. The CEOs are raising their paychecks. They used to get paid, like they said, they used to get paid $20 million a year or something. Now they're getting paid $49 million and upwards, and cutting the labor or cutting the paychecks for like the workers to make $10 an hour with this hyperinflation. And so even inside of America, it's not a good idea right now to just depend on jobs and depend on the system.
Yeah, even inside of America, it's not a good idea to prepare there. Because if you prepare, just say if you do prepare, you stock up on food, you stock up on, what was it, toilet paper and stuff like
cash,
that. Cash,
US dollar.
You know, that's not going to be good. So but the way that I say prepare is you have to get used to being sustainable, like in every way possible. So when I say prepared, that's what I mean. You have to start getting your mindset ready to be sustainable, your heart ready to be sustainable, and the ways that you know, the way that you walk every day, you have to be sustainable.
So you can't rely on conveniences and entertainment all the time, because if that didn't break your bank account already, which I know it is a lot of y'all, but if that didn't break your bank account already, it definitely will. It's not the time to be so sucked into the conveniences of America and sucked into the convenience of life, because America is literally one of the only places on earth that's like that. Outside of America, people know how to live sustainably. Like, they know how to walk for a while, like to go and do whatever they need to do. They know how to plant food and grow it. They know how to, survive outside. But in America, we were at such a disservice. It really crippled us and broke us to the point that we can't even survive with the creation that the Most High has given us.
Exactly.
We also want to talk about multiply your talent. So this is our course about business fundamentals and foundations. So these are the exact steps we took when we left America to build a global business. Before we left America, the business was already established and it was already global. Then when we actually went on the plane and we came over here to Tanzania, it just exploded. And so it does very, very extremely well for us being, digital nomads, being in this land, being anywhere on earth. And so in this course, you're going to be able to learn business foundations, marketing foundations, how to package your services and products so that you can actually get clients and customers, because just because you have a product or a service doesn't mean that people are buying. So if you're like, I don't really know business fundamentals, I don't know marketing fundamentals, I haven't even registered a business anywhere in the world or ran one, you need to check out the course. Link is in the description to learn more about that.
We're trying to give it to you so you can prepare.
Yeah.
Because it's very important to prepare in these times. It's not important to be fearful. It's not important to be scared of what's going on. Only if you be obedient and prepare and have faith, I'm telling you, you will obtain favor from the Most High.
It's true.
So you just gotta take that leap of faith and just go with His flow. Just go with His Spirit and allow His Spirit to lead you. So yeah.
Yeah, because we were always created to be self-sufficient. We weren't created to work in these dead-end jobs. I don't believe that anyway. And when I read the Bible, I see that that's not true. So, also, we want to talk about, we were talking to one of our clients earlier, and they were saying how in the Dream Life Africa course, you can check that on the link in the description too, how in that course, we broke down banking logistics and finance abroad. And so there is so much that you do not know as a first-time traveler, or as someone that has only visited countries and not lived there long-term. And so you need to figure out how to establish your finances, because people are coming here, their bank accounts are freezing, then they have to go back to America because they didn't have 4 to 5 other accounts ready on hand for them to be able to move and transfer money smoothly. There's a lot of legalities and logistical stuff that goes into traveling abroad, and so that is in Dream Life Africa as well.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Yeah. Shalom.
Okay.
When they talk about not being afraid, how we just off of Psalms 10 and knowing that, the Most High has us and everything. But when you talk about going into the strange land that we, as currently have never been into like that, they're so right, because we have been so westernized, Americanized, or technicalized that, we depend on, the things that are convenient.
Yeah, you're in the matrix. Okay, yeah. So this is you want to check them out. That's Journey with Us, the name of the YouTube channel. Okay. So,
the Great Reset on the West with this move. No wonder we're actively trying to go to war with them. Now, while everyone is distracted by the U.S. banking collapse, something much bigger is actually happening right now, if you could imagine that. Yeah, China, Russia, and the rest of the BRICS nations are about to force America and Europe into a corner that they are not going to get out of. All of the signs are there. The data is really troubling. We'll get to a lot of it in this episode. The inflation crisis is getting worse by the minute. And this morning, new numbers out of Finland. Look at this. New inflation numbers that'll make your head spin. 16% inflation, the highest in 60 years. Yeah. How are those sanctions working out for you? Also, new numbers out of Poland this morning. A record inflation, 18%. Can you imagine? If the United States and Europe want their Klaus Schwab Great Reset, they are about to get it, but not in the way that they hoped for.
I see the need for action. I see the need for a great reset.
We'll have more on that in a moment. But first, did you know that we are at war with China? Oh, yeah. According to our members of Congress who just got back from Taiwan last week, we're at war with China, so we better get prepared. Here's Representative Tony Gonzalez, who just returned from Taiwan, where we just sent a whole bunch of weapons.
I just got back from a trip from Taiwan. It's the second trip to Taiwan in the past 14 months. I know what war looks like. We're at war. I mean, this is a war.
What the hell? Who the heck voted for war against China? Did you? I sure as hell didn't. Do these people even understand what they're saying? The deep state is actively pushing for war with China as the US dollar continues its downward spiral into oblivion. Here's Representative Chris Stewart this week calling for the abolition of the one China policy, meaning Taiwan is not part of China anymore. And that's enough, of course, to provoke China into a war that the U.S. will not win, no matter how hard we try. And this week, The U.S. announces it's sending nuclear submarines to Australia as part of the AUKUS deal. Now, even Australian newspapers said, we're ready for war with China. Australia is a proxy, of course, for the United States. We will use Australia as a launching pad for war. It's an island that has really become nothing but a military base for the United States. Even Sky News Australia just put out a new war preview with China documentary. Watch this.
The United States will go to war if necessary in order to protect Taiwan.
Are we ready for war? We are acting as quickly as we can.
I pray that I will get it right.
So get ready is the message. It's all propaganda. It's coming right from the deep state, of course. Our U.S. top general is also telling his troops to get ready for war by the year 2025. General Minahan just sent a letter to his troops telling them to get ready. Well, of course, this is all happening for a reason. They're scared shitless about what Russia and China are doing, which is building an economic behemoth that the West can't compete with. So get ready for war. Now, as my wife pointed out this week about the United States, nothing is scarier than someone losing power, because people who are losing power do violent and desperate things. We're watching the United States and the US dollar losing tremendous global power. And China is now getting ready for massive US war sanctions. This morning we learned that China is dumping massive amounts of US debt. The data comes right from the US Treasury. China is the second largest holder of US Treasuries. Now, if the United States freezes those assets, China is screwed. So China is stockpiling gold, dumping American dollars faster than Jerome Powell can actually print them. And Russia today announced all those sanctions that the US and Europe threw at them didn't work. Now, I'm going to read from today's report. Quote, the Russian economy is developing in a new way, with GDP expected to grow as soon as the second quarter of this year, President Vladimir Putin predicted on Thursday. Speaking at a conference this week, Putin said the country had managed to fully compensate for the loss of access to Western markets. According to the head of the state, Russia's foreign trade grew by more than 8% last year, while last year's trade surplus hit $332 billion. So even before we blew up Russia's natural gas pipeline, they were building this coalition to dethrone the United States dollar dominance. And historically, the way that we deal with people like this is we threaten war, and we actually try to destabilize these countries through regime change and sanctions, like we're doing right now with Russia and Ukraine. And we learned this morning that even more countries are trying to move away from the US dollar and joining the BRICS coalition of Russia, China, Brazil, India, South Africa. The BRICS nations are developing their own currency backed by gold and natural gas and oil, commodities. The US dollar is not backed by anything. And just look at these freaking headlines this morning. African nations want to join BRICS. Russia supports Algeria joining BRICS. Iran and Saudi Arabia want to join BRICS. And even Mexico. Earlier this week, Mexico announced its intent to join Russia and China as part of the BRICS nations. I mean, holy cow. So watch as we alienate our closest allies, just like we did with the Nord Stream pipeline destruction. Last week, we saw a stunning amount of propaganda, and it had to do with the Nord Stream pipeline. First, the New York Times ran a propaganda piece saying this week that we can now confirm that a pro-Ukrainian group carried out the pipeline attack. Pro-Ukrainian group? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, aka the CIA and the United States. And then, not to be outdone, German newspaper followed up like good state-run media does and says, yes, it was a pro-Ukrainian group. And they even identified the yacht that these people used to blow up the pipeline. Yet this is the yacht called the Andromeda, which might be the most amazing pile of garbage I've ever seen if it wasn't so sad that they think we'd actually believe them. They think that you're stupid. We know 500 kilograms of explosives were used to blow up the pipeline, which if you put that much weight on this boat, it would sink to the bottom of the ocean. But don't get too caught up in any of the details, okay? As journalist Aaron Mate writes about this trick to get...
Okay, any comments on that? So we're looking at scripture. That's all it is, scripture playing out. Like I was saying before, the people looking on the outside, not having no understanding of the scriptures and all that, saying that America, you know, is military might and all that is, you know, it can't fall. It's been designed and it came about to the place where it can't fall. But Lord of hosts can drop it like a bad habit. And that's just what we look at. That's what we're looking at. That's what they don't know. They sitting there looking with their back, like he said, with their back to the temple, looking over here at America But the Lord, that Jesus. But the person that can drop it is behind him in the temple. Okay? That's the biggest thing that's playing out today. You're looking in the wrong direction. Based off what these Gentiles and these Edomites think, hey, you can't disconnect yourself from it. You don't have nothing to do with the end times, nothing to do with nothing. The Redeemer is the Lord of hosts. And he can drop this place. And we're looking at him drop it. It was created off of the backs of Israelites and off of the banking system. And look how it's falling. Same way. Same way he brought it up with the banks, he's gonna drop it with the banks. In commerce, capitalism. Okay. So we got some need to know information right here. This the crazy part about it right here. Like I said, we was talking last night. It's things that we're not allowed to do, things you're not supposed to be doing. And there's repercussions to them when you do them, like what happened in the garden. He said, don't eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil and don't touch it. Well, they did exactly what he said don't do, and look at the repercussions. So same thing right here. We see Most High is dropping America, but they steady trying to impose all the things that he done wrote by the prophets. They still trying to impose all that on the world when it's contrary to what he told us to do and thinking that it's going to work. So let's look at what they're doing.
This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. I want to share something with you all. Here in Ghana, that's where I'm at to be exact. You know, they just found out that one that they made into a chief of a village, that he is a supporter and part of the LGBT. Now, once finding this information out, they kicked him out of his chieftaincy. Now, the interesting thing, family, is this right here, is that how is it that the LGBT disguises itself, trying to find its way into countries, into communities that they know the people object to? This man, he was or is a Nigerian. Now, let me read what it actually says. It says that the Nigerian gay, Christian, and LGBT campaigner, Davis McYala, who recently was honored with a chieftaincy title in the central region of Ghana, has been stripped off the royal honor after authorities who installed said his LGBT lifestyle came to them as a belated information. It was during the process of installation as the Amakrohan that information came that Kwaku Adu is also known as Mr. Davis McYala and has been supporting LGBTQ and its related activities. This is where they decided that this type of lifestyle is not warranted or accepted in Ghana or in Africa for that matter of fact. You know, he, like others, are trying to force their way in to societies. You know, this agenda is going around in order to sway other people that they can have this type of lifestyle. The LGBTQI, LMNOP is trying to get our youth to accept the way that they feel or how they are. They can fall into these letters so that they can associate themselves, label or title themselves into being in this alphabet crew. But what he has done is try to get in to a community, a village, and push and promote his lifestyle so that it can change the minds of the youth. Now, if y'all remember the video that I put up on Dwayne Wade and his wife, Gabrielle Union, who came into Ghana invited by a American who confronted me.
The thing that's different.
When he saw my video that I did and did not want to answer the case of where they stood that was opposing to the African way. He turned around and left. But when I made reference that Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union's lifestyle even is opposed, rumors have it and been reported that they have these open marriages, have these house parties that some will say that are LGBTQ related, but yet even also that their son, who is a trans and wants to change his biological body or his original body, they support and will defend it. And when they came in, Gabrielle and Dwayne Wade, into Ghana, I made mention that this type of action is nothing more than a ploy for people to accept them, so that unbeknownst to the average Ghanaian who don't even know the type of lifestyle that they're living or the type of lifestyle they promote for their son, that when they were embraced and celebrated by this guy who invited him, who received his chieftaincy, will go under the radar, and that this will be something that the doors will be open to for the youth and the future of Ghana to become. Now, I'm not saying that he had intentions of doing such a thing, but what I am saying is that Ghanaians need to look out for those people who are coming into the country, need to do background checks on these people, because apparently this guy here, who's a Nigerian gay Christian and LGBT campaigner, you can find his information on the internet. That he is considering himself to be an Anglican Christian, that the Bible actually refutes such type of lifestyles. That this type of behavior is not accepted in the things of God.
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody heard anything about that? Okay, yeah. So what they're doing is, this ain't nothing but the CIA. They bring in plants. Like I was saying before, these characteristics that they trying to make legitimate, it wasn't in Adam DNA. When he made Adam, all this bullshit wasn't in Adam. But they trying to make you think that it was there. Like, for example, they went and got this guy right here and made him a chief, and all along knowing he gay. And then all of a sudden they trying to make you put in the minds of the people, the African people, that that's part of who they are. This guy a chief. It's a part of who they are. Then then they try to come back. Same people, when you understand it's tentacles, but it's the same octopus. So then they come with Dwayne Wade from over here to come to of America with his drama that he got. Attacking they're actually attacking the African continent through Ghana, trying to bring all this up. And so the first thing that came to my mind was, I'm pretty much at the end of it now, but I've been watching the season series on the Vikings, right? And they one of their first Viking kings was I think his name was Uric. Anyway, when they came in to Great Britain on a voyage, and they came and they started raiding these monasteries, well, he took one of these priests back with him, right? So you know the characteristics, they faggots, whatever you want to call them, they gay. So he brought him back back to Scandinavia, And over the process of time, he started working on him. Telling him, you know, he looking at the characteristics that they gave Jesus. Odin is way older than Jesus, but Jesus got all his characteristics. So that means that when they concocted JC, they concocted Odin was one of the templates. So, but eventually, over time, all these different Vikings encountering these gay Christians, monks. And so when it was over, what undermined the Viking Empire was these gay Christians. And when it's all said and done, the Vikings became Christians. Same shit they did to us when they brought us over here on the boats. Our first forefathers that came over here, they weren't going for that. But over the process of time, just like the scriptures say in the curses, that we was going to pick up their ways. And that's where we at. Now we see them trying, with their prophecy being fulfilled, they so ignorant till they can't see the Lord of hosts and raised up. And they started trying to, you know, the time of the Gentiles up. They started trying to employ these same tactics, but it ain't working. It's hammer time. And comments. So I'm gonna open it up for questions and comments and dialogue. Anybody got anything they want to discuss from last night or during the week? Or anything they want to bring up, want to talk about for a minute?
I'm gonna pick up off of what you was just saying about how they just would creep in and slowly through the process of time convert.
Right.
So they was still doing that in the west coast of Africa, where like a lot of the Bantu and Igbo people were. I can't remember who put the video out, but I seen a couple pieces of it where it said that they went to these villages and politicked with the Israelites that were there, and they said that they still followed the traditions of Moses. No outside influences. They didn't mingle with the other nations. You know, they ate, you know, clean foods and everything, and they dealt with all the feast days. So they said on the video that they went in there and imposed Christian ideologies to these people. And I guess through the process of time, over the next 5 or 6 years, they opened up 70 Christian churches in that area and converted a lot of these people. So that's my question. So if you come across a people who you see are following the Tanakh or the Torah, why would you think that it's important for you to convert them to Christianity? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Exactly.
they're doing this all over the world. So to me, I look at it now and I realize what people don't is that's a completely different, that's a religion, not a way of
Right.
life. So you converting a person who follows the law, statutes, and commandments to a religion that's called Christianity. And this is what's been going on all over the place. So as us, the reality is we don't look at what we read in the Torah, the Tanakh, as a religion. We read it as a way of life.
Right.
While they're selling a religion to you. And that's the
Right.
difference right there, you know.
Right. And it was done in a systematic way, because first of all, they had to take away our creator, our savior. Then they had to take away our knowledge of our culture. So we just sitting there. Whatever you bring to us, you absorb. It's like a brand new computer with, you know, you come and you put in everything you want to put in the computer. So that's what they took away that. When they first came, like in the book of Judith, when Nebuchadnezzar or Harphan came to he had destroyed all these other countries, but he said when he came to the borders of Israel, he started them preparing for war, putting up war instruments and getting prepared for war. And he said, "Who is these people? You know, they ain't heard of me. They ain't seen what I done to all other nations." And the guy told him, these Israelites, they Judah. When they God with them, there ain't nothing you can do. to them. They gonna, you know, they ain't nobody to fold. So, like I said, they came in and destroyed who we were as a people. Now they able to come in and put in and implement and give us anything we want, and we take it. We go for it. That's why they was catching so much hell from those first we know now they was Israelites, they was bringing over here, they wasn't going for it. And that's why they were so ruthless, and they annihilated them. And they got rid of them, then those other generations that came, they didn't have no understanding of who they was. And then we seen last night them breeding farms. Them kids ain't no shit. They were just like a blank computer. You can put in what you want to put in it. And not only that, they had their DNA. They had their DNA in them. They wasn't fathered by no Israelite. And that's how they operate. And that's what they're doing right here. Like I said, that's sinister. They went and got some faggot ass Nigerian and made him a chief, and then now all of a sudden he jump up, he's supporting the LGBT community. That goes back to that little black dot, you know, put that little black dot in your head, and then from there you go to work on it. And that's what we was talking about earlier when he said that he comes in and set a trap, and then he draw you in once he set the trap. And that's the point where we at now. You can't go for that. And they've been doing that forever and a day. Like I said, that ain't in our DNA. To be no homosexual. It ain't in our DNA. But now they didn't through their trickeration, how they do things, they didn't put this information in your head, and then they come back and go to work on it. And the average person fall for it. Yeah. And just something. Anybody else got anything before we move on? Yeah, so this one I want to address this right here. It's tied to it's not, I just took it out. Let me see. Yeah. Give me a minute. I just took it out. Okay. About the Moors. This is pertaining to the Moors. This is a big discussion about who the Moors were. And when you understand scripture, Most High said, when the Antiochus came and kicked the Israelites out, he reducing the Israelites to curses. He reducing the Israelites. You know, one of the things about the Israelites was the blessings of the Most High was on them. That blessings of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they was the head, not the tail. But by the time Antiochus came, they was the tail. So it can't be the Moors. Anyway, let's look at it. And then I showed you how in 70 AD, they gave them Esau. They gave Esau Herod's lineage, safe passage to Spain. But everybody want to say those are Israelites that's in Spain. But let's see how they hid history. This is the part of history they hid right here to show you how those black people that got in that was in Portugal. Here we go.
These so-called Moors, as some would call them, extended their rule over the North African desert all the way into southern Spain.
So before we start watching this, two things you have to understand. When what happened is when Antiochus came, drove the Israelites out, it was a mass migration. The Israelites, they ain't just a show up. I mean, just appear all of a sudden on the West Coast. all these Israelites, they fled there from what Antiochus and the Greeks was doing in 143 BC, where the whole people over in that region, that continent, they know the story, they know that migration happened and the time frame when it happened. It wasn't no damn 70 AD. So same thing with the North and the South over here, the big migration over here. They brought us over here. We know. We don't need to go to no history books. They brought us over on slave ships. They depressed the hell out of us in the South. Then all of a sudden, opportunities start presenting themselves in the North. It was a mass migration to the North. I don't need no damn white man. Nobody else tell me that. I know that happened. So same with that, we knowing this, they know that they fled, that there's a big ass migration of black folks, Israelites, that fled out of Africa because of these demons showed up there, Antiochus and them, and they fled to the West Coast. So in Africa, the same thing. The Most High prophesied the destruction in Egypt, which is Mizraim descendants. There's a mass migration out in Egypt. And where they go? Down into the Sudan. So you got this remnant from out of Egypt that's in Sudan today. They the people that built this part of the pyramids, tied to the pyramids. They ain't in it. It's mulattoes and all that in Egypt right now, but the actual people fled. They done relocated. They down in the Sudan area. Royalties from Egypt. So royalties from Israel over here was on the West Coast. And a lot of them was brought over here on the transatlantic slave trade. So let's look at it.
Almoravid prime, the Christian forces of Spain could not last against their might. Yet, despite Almoravid dominance over much of North Africa and the Iberian Peninsula, there was a bizarre moment in history in which the mighty Almoravids were seen bending the knee to a mysterious West African king.
West Africa.
And oddly enough, no one seems to know his name. What about from Roy to Somsi here, and welcome back to begin. It's important to understand the historical backdrop of this information. This video will be presenting a source from a 13th century writer who seems to be the only one to mention this event. The account this writer gives is so unique that some scholars aren't sure what to make of it. So this video will reveal the 13th century account along with the most visible theory regarding the event it concerns. So please keep this context in mind. The documented account comes from a man named Yakut. He was a formerly enslaved Greek boy captured in Byzantine territory. He was sold to a Syrian merchant in Baghdad, where he received a good education. When freed, Yakut began to travel to places like Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Egypt. He reportedly earned a living copying and selling books. Yakut was a tireless compiler and encyclopedist. Yakut's sources, which he regularly names, belong to different periods, and in using them, one has to fit them into their historical context in order to avoid anachronisms. Historical context was key to how scholars were in part able to deconstruct his unique account about the mysterious West African king. Without this context, a plausible theory could not exist. In order to grasp the unique aspect of Yakut's account, we have to understand how powerful the Almoravids were and their origins. Yahya Ibrahim, founder of the Almoravids, hailed from the Banu Gudala division of the Sanhaja and lived in what is now southern Mauritania, close to the Senegal River. The community from which he sprang was closely affiliated with Balad as-Sudan, as was that of...
So he come out of the Sudan. These Almoravids, which are the Moors that ended up over in Portugal, came from the Sudan. Right? We just saw that the remnant from Egypt fled to the Sudan. The remnant of Israel fled to the West Africa. So these Egyptians that fled to Sudan, then they eventually became powerful, and they went up into the Moors that went up into Portugal. Okay.
His mentor, Abed Allah Yassin, whose own mother hailed from Taman Manat, situated on the edge of the desert which adjoins the town of Ghana. So from the onset, the Almoravid movement, as Michael Gomez notes, was closely affiliated with the various nations of people from the Sudan. According to Choki Elhamo, author of the book Black Morocco, the Almoravids were the first ruling dynasty in Morocco to use a large body of conscripted soldiers from the Sudan, or what we would call West Africa today. In fact, it was at the defining Battle of Zalaka that the West African troops shifted the tide of battle for the Almoravids, helping to establish Almoravid supremacy in southern Spain. At the Battle of Zalaka near Badajoz.
Okay, so you see right here, these Moors is remnant, come from the remnant that fled out of Egypt. And at the same time, they was given Titus and Vespasian gave them Edomites. The 70 AD carries lineage, safe passage to Spain. And like I said before, this is where the whole, everything with the West and the West coming into power and might came from Spain. You think it's a coincidence? Those 3 ships, the Nina, Pinta, and Santa Marita, were sent out looking for a new world. That's when the West raised its head. You know, Israelites.
So who are these Moors then? So
they descended from the people that was in Egypt that oppressed the Israelites.
So they Egyptian.
Yeah, they Egyptians, Mazarin.
So that's the question that everybody wondered. So where did they go? Okay.
Right. Because when the Greeks came, like I said, Esau wanted Judea and he wanted Egypt. He got that. That's the 29th dynasty. Well, when the Greeks came on the scene, they displaced the original Egyptians and they displaced the original Israelites. The original Israelites fled to West Africa, and the original Egyptians fled to Sudan. And what they got us thinking today, the people over there, and it's coming up now because the Most High unraveling it. But they got the people over there now thinking they the real Egyptians.
Right.
And the Egyptians, they got the people in Israel thinking they're the real Israelites. Okay, so you know that has to be rightly divided. Okay. So I just want to shine a light on that because it be coming up, keep coming up. And I'm just trying to, little by little fill in the blanks. So with that being said, we're gonna go to the topic. It's a topic of discussion, which is this kind of bouncing off of yesterday too, but the myth of the cursed race. So these Europeans and the Edomites been imposed on us that when they to legitimize the transatlantic slave trade and the cruelty and everything that they done, that it was ordained in the scriptures. Because Cain cursed. That Ham was cursed because he had we know it's a lie, but he supposedly had, back to the homosexual agenda, he had sodomized Adam. I mean, he had sodomized Noah. Right? Well, we're gonna uncover all that, unravel. So that's not the case. We know that ain't what really happened. Okay. So let's look at it.
Ancient curse was used to support the terrible evil of slavery. A curse that appears in one isolated verse in the Bible. Even today, this misunderstood curse still lingers with us as a legacy of shame. But fortunately, there are some who, through scholarship and honest examination, have exposed the lie of a cursed race. And in their pursuit of truth, they have rediscovered a long-lost heritage and identity in Africa and in the Bible. The myth of a cursed race. Next on Day of Discovery. Hello, my name is Wintley Phipps. Wintley Phipps, a name that identifies who I am. But who am I? I'm a husband, I'm a father, but I'm also a descendant of slaves. Unless you've lived your life with darker skin, you may not appreciate what that question means to people like me. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. 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 The music and words of the old spirituals reflected both the heartache and the hope of many slaves. Just imagine being captured and treated like animals, being shipped away forever from your family and your home. Imagine being sold like cattle. Imagine losing your language and, yes, even your name. Many of African enslaved descent have wondered at some point in their lives about their heritage and their identity. They have wondered about who they really are. But for those of us who take the Bible seriously, we know that no matter the race, the color, or ethnicity, we are all God's children. We know that in the eyes of God, we are all equal and that no one is cursed because of color or race. But through the centuries, the Bible has been used, let's just say, in some ways that God never intended. Tragically, some found in its pages a curse by the prophet Noah that they have said created the black race of Africans. A curse that they claim sentenced an entire race to servitude and slavery. According to Professor of History, Dr. Edwin Yamauchi, no other verse in the Bible has been so distorted and so disastrously used down through the centuries for the exploitation of Africans and African Americans as that one obscure verse found in the opening chapters of the Bible in the book of Genesis.
If there's one verse in the Bible which has adversely affected Africans, it's the so-called curse of Ham, found in Genesis 9, verse 25. There we read, "Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves will he be to his brothers." This is a curse uttered by Noah. For those of you who are not familiar with the story, Noah became drunk, and then his three sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, were there at the time, but it was Ham who dared to look at Noah's naked body, and then he tried to encourage his brothers to do so, and they would not. They went backwards so as not to look at the side of their naked father.
So let's look at this right quick, because I got hit with a sledgehammer when I was listening to this. So we know what happened. We know that Japheth, Noah's nakedness is his wife. So we know that Japheth slept with Noah's wife. After Noah planted the vineyard, which is what he was doing before the flood. He wasn't drunk. He planted the vineyard like he was doing before the flood. The Most High gave him the grapes and the wine. And so he, all that he had went through, so he wanted him some wine. So he got the wine, And then when he drank the wine, you like anybody else do. You drink the wine, you get jubilated, then you go to sleep. So Noah went to sleep while he was asleep. Knowing who Japhet is, he's come from Cain descendants. And they was raping and pillaging and doing and homosexual acts and all that before the flood. Most High told Noah to get 2 of every kind, all flesh. So he had to go get a son and a woman and a man from Adam, from Cain's descendants, bring them on the boat. He had to go get a man from Ham descendants, a 6-day man on Genesis chapter 126, a man and woman that he created on the 6th day. Then him and his wife and his son, Shem and his wife. That's who got on the ark. So when the flood receded and they came off the boat and Noah drank the wine, went to sleep, Japhet picked back up from the bullshit he was doing before the flood. And he raped Noah's wife. And in the process of raping her, he put a seed in her. Right? Just like when the serpent slept with Eve, he put a seed in Eve. Genesis 3:15, 3 and 15. So when after Japhet done that, he tried to get Ham and Shem to sleep with her too, after he had raped her. So then we turn around and we see they refused to do it. So they went backwards. Like I told you about the DNA. They went backwards and covered her up. But he tried to encourage them. Not encourage them to look at Noah. What the hell that's gonna do? No, what he had just done, he tried to encourage Shem and Ham to do the same thing. And they refused. They turned and walked backwards and covered her up. Okay, so let's get that right. We don't need no fucking no Chinese to tell us what happened. Cool.
Father in his discretion. Now, as the text stands, the curse is not upon Ham himself, but upon his son Canaan, who is the eponymous ancestor of the Canaanites. That is, the Canaanites are named after this particular son.
According to
Dr.
Yamauchi.
So let's look at this right quick before I'm let it play. So Cain was a product of the serpent sleep with Eve. Look how the Lord of hosts dealt with him when he came to make his offer. He's righteous God. Why he dealing with him because of who he is. Same thing right here. When Noah woke up, he saw there's a seed in her stomach. She got a seed. Canaan didn't get on the boat. So Noah doing the same thing Lord of hosts did with Cain. Knowing where he came from. He cursed him. Okay?
The prophetic curse of Noah was most likely fulfilled on the Canaanites, the pagan descendants of Ham's son named Canaan, who, according to the Bible, settled in the region of what came to be called the Promised Land. The same descendants who continued in the disrespect and disobedience of their ancestor named Ham. As punishment, God commanded the Hebrews to conquer the Canaanites in order to protect his people from their destructive ways, including the idolatrous worship and child sacrifice. According to the records of history, the Canaanites and their curse have long been extinct. According to the Bible, none of Ham's other 3 sons were cursed, only Canaan. The descendants of Ham's son, Mitzrayim, settled in Egypt. Ham's son named Put settled near Libya, and his 4th son, Cush, settled in a region south of Egypt, which came to be called by the same name, Cush, as recorded in the Hebrew Bible. Most scholars identify Cush as the area of modern Sudan. The way that name Cush has been translated in English Bibles has created some confusion. German author and scholar Dr. Roland Werner has researched Christian history in Africa.
In the Bible, we find a reference to the country of Cush. We find this in various places in the Old Testament. Genesis 10 in the Table of Nations as one of the neighbors of Mitzrayim, and Mitzrayim, of course, is Egypt, so Cush must be a neighbor of Egypt. We find the same word, Cush, mentioned again in Isaiah 18, in Psalm 68, and various other places. And people have wondered what that actually meant.
As author and New Testament professor Dr. Alan Callahan observes, the Greeks referred to the people from the region of Cush as Ethiopians.
These are the guys to whom the Greek writers referred to as Ethiopians, and the derivation of that word is in some dispute. Most people translated that as the people with the burnt faces, but these are, at least as Herodotus and people like that, the Greek writers knew of these people. They knew of them as skilled warriors. You wouldn't want to fight them. They tended to be tall, dark. They're beautiful people. And the quintet.
Like I said, they out of Egypt. He just told you they tall. They out of Egypt, out of Mesopotamia, out of Egyptian. They migrated down there. Okay.
Essence of civilization.
There was a little bit of a confusion because the Septuagint translation, which was
the
Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible, used the word Ethiopia, wherever Cush occurred in the Old Testament. So people naturally thought that this referred to the country that we now call Ethiopia. Of course, that is not entirely true. Cush is the neighbor of Egypt, which must be Sudan.
But how and when did ancient Cush become mislabeled and misinterpreted as a cursed black slave race? According to Dr. Yamauchi, author of Africa and the Bible, the answer is elusive. However, he describes the misuse and misapplication of the curse among all three Middle East religions, the Muslims, the Jewish faith, and Christians. Among the Muslims,
right, so none of these got anything to do with us. Esau concocted all three of them: Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. Esau concocted all three of them. Like I said before, this knowledge ain't got nothing to do with us. But our whole psyche predicated off of it. It ain't got nothing to do with us. You got to get to a place to understand that. Because if you don't, somebody, most I sending somebody to talk to you, shit rolling off like water on a duck back. Again, they giving you information that's worth gold, but you can't receive it. You've been tricked off. Okay? So let me find this other thing, because you want to watch this here. It's I think it's 2 or 3 parts to it. It's Africa in the Bible, the myth of the cursed race. You want to go check it out. But I want to shine a light on something else. Let me find it. These glimmers at work today. We're going to get around it. Let me get it. One minute. Yeah. Okay, right here. Yeah, this brother right here describing the color of the sons of Ham. Sons of Noah. Right? Okay.
What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy, Go Black to Africa. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you all as you all come in. I want to give a short some information for you all. I think you can add this to your library, something that you will be able to benefit from when it comes to this land of Israel, because of those Jewish people who have set the tone around the world that they are the determining factors who can decide who's Jews or not. But in their own writings, which I'm going to show in the Talmud, that Noah's children are described. I did this video actually last year. Shout out to my man, Dante Fortson, who actually, he just did something along the lines with this yesterday. Check out his video. I did a video with him as well. One of his videos I did. But check out his video. Got a lot of information that you can share, that he shares with you all. But my thing is this right here. I'm going to be going to Angola here in about another week or two. Just got my visa last night. So I'm going to delve into the Black Jews who were exiled out of Portugal and Spain. First, they were expelled out of Spain, and a lot of them came over into Portugal. Well, the Inquisition of Lisbon, there in Portugal, this is those Catholics, they turned around and wound up wanting to force people into Christianity. And as the Christianity and Judaism begin to grow, they want to convert people into these religions. Now, let me say this right here, because the Jewish people want to make it seem as though that the children of Israel, those that are in Africa currently today, whether it is those who are the Limba tribe, Igbo, Yoruba, the Bantu speaking tribes that are all in the family of the Israelites, they have come in to bring Judaism. This is when you see some of the African Jews who know their history from thousands of years. They can tell you the story because they pass it down over the years, that they have subscribed to Judaism. That's why you see them with the shawls on, and you see them with the those boxes on their heads. I forget the name of it, and on their arms, and with the Israeli flags. That has nothing to do with being the chosen children of Israel. Why is y'all, some of the people have asked me, why is this important? What does it matter? You know, it's important because of the fact that people are reaping off of what is our benefit. You know, Israel, they planted that land there, or not the land, but the actual state there in 1948, have received trillions of dollars, and yet don't want to share the benefits of being a Jew. Now, we know that there are those who will take identities and run with it and, will call themselves such. But there's a difference between being a Jew and Judaism. You have to understand that.
Exactly.
Now, people want to identify, that's to each his own business. But when I go to Angola, I'm going to show and prove that in the 1500s, they got the museums there and showing the communities that these Jews were exiled, that Portugal scattered them along the western parts of the shores of Africa, all the way to Cote d'Ivoire, all the way up to Senegal, from Sao Tome, Principe Islands, Cape Verde Islands. You will see these were those Jews who actually were planted there, but then in turn, after the 1600s, were put on ships.
Yeah, so let's look at this right here. I picked this out 10, 15 years ago, but couldn't talk about it. So we see right here, we just watched some of the breeding farms over in America, and what happened on the boats bringing us over here. They already know who they were. So we going back to, we saw that it's angelic beings over these different nations. right? So they eternal beings. They was back there in the day when the Most High tricked the Pharaoh, Lord Ho tricked the Pharaoh out in the ocean, in the Red Sea, and drowned him. And they was coercing with the Egyptians to reduce the Israelites, tried to reduce them in Egypt, but they didn't. And it also goes back to these 7 women to 1 man and all that. They couldn't reduce them because of the Most High system he had set in place. They couldn't usurp them. That's why the more they oppressed them, the more they multiplied. Because the man ain't have to sit there and wait if his wife have a kid, then wait for her to have that one, then have another one. He got more than 1 wife. He dropping kids all over the place. So anyway, these eternal beings behind it. So we get to the day, look what they're doing. They're using every man but an Israelite man that's breeding with our Israelite women. These ain't none of these. So the kids that what they doing, these kids ain't Israelite kids. These Edomites and Japhet sleeping with our women when they came over here. So now they know who we are. They know, like I said, the migration out of Egypt and the time when we did migrate out in 143 BC. They know that. So they know that the Israelites on the west coast of Africa. That's where they at. So what they do, they come, these people from Sudan, the Moors that went into Spain and Portugal, they took them out. They ain't Israelites, so look what they do. Planted them in the west coast of Africa. To do what? Breed with Israelites. Breed with Israelites. Come on. They look like us, but they ain't Israelites. And they breeding with us. They coming from, plant them all down the Gold Coast, and they start intermingling with us. It's a high power behind it. So not only is we defile and diluted over here, they use those Negroes to defile and loot us over there. He said he's gonna reduce. He pissed off, just like David was, and he came and scattered us. And he said, "I'm just like I looked over you, and I held Abraham's hand, and I held Isaac's hand and Jacob's hand. Now I'm gonna reduce you to number. I'm gonna reduce you." That's what it's all about. Like I said, go back to breeding and reproduction, reproducing. So he ain't sending this like me. So let's look at an example. Everybody always going to Isaiah. Everybody always going to Isaiah chapter 3 about the Israelite woman that's haughty, right? But let's look at it. Isaiah chapter 3. Okay. This is the judgment on the daughters of Zion, right? Moreover, the Lord said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks, Wu-Tang eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tingling with their feet. Therefore, the Lord will smite with the scab of the crown of the head the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. That's secret parts. What do you think that is? Under the skirt. Under the skirt. Just like under Eve's skirt. Under Rebecca's skirt. Okay? Tamar's skirt. Okay, he says, will describe their secret parts. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery of their tingling ornaments and about their feet, and their coils, and their round tires like the moon, the chains and the bracelets, and the mufflers, and the bonnets, and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands, and the tabrets, and the earrings, the rings, the nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles, and the wimples, and the crisping pins, the glasses, and the fine linen, and the hoods, and the veils. It shall come, look at this, it shall come to pass that instead of a sweet smell, there shall be a stench, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of a well-set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, girdle, sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Now here you go, right here. We go to doozy. Everybody reading over 25. They shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she shall be desolate, and shall sit upon the ground. So he took the Negroes out the picture. That's what we're looking at right here. He ain't got no power. He can't procreate with nobody. He didn't put him on freeze frame. Every other man coming in sleeping with this right woman. That's how he reduced us. And so now he pouring his spirit out, the word of truth coming out by certain men he raising up. It's falling on deaf ears. There ain't no Israelites. Like water on a duck bag. Okay? And the part of the process is they done told you Ham, Shem, and Japheth, Noah's sons. That neutralize this right man right there. Because he ain't involved in that. He ain't involved with Japheth. He ain't involved with Ham. That's a lie from the pits of hell. Okay? Let's look at it.
Sent over to the Americas. I wanted to show you all because this is what, even in their books, that there's not spoke about the color of who the children of Noah are. So let me just share my screen with you all real quick. I'm not going to be long with you, but I want y'all to understand that this is something that we need to really dissect and build off of. Now let me go right here. Let me just share my whole screen. Share my window. It'll be easier. Or I might do the entire screen. Let's do that.
Stop wasting money on iCloud. This innovative...
A little more display.
Let me see how that's going to look. So check this out, y'all. This is what the Jewish people have in their hands. We know of the Bible, right? See, there's some information we just didn't have access to. But we know the Bible. But the Talmud is written documents from hundreds of rabbis over a few years that they have written in their dissecting their Torah. You see, we're at a disadvantage because when the Bible was written, it was translated and things were left out. This is why I say not everything in the Bible is true. Because how is it that these Jewish people, they have the Talmud, they have the Midrash of their scholars, supposedly, the rabbis, who have written to expound on the Torah, to give either creating information, to bring clarity in the writings. When King James got his hands on it, and he brought forth 70 of these so-called scholars in the manuscripts, if you will, they translated and only put in what applied to them as being Christians.
Want this home?
Not adding in those things that may have been being used for those who were considered to be Jew. This is why words and terminologies are so important, because if you don't understand this and you're only using the Bible and we don't have access to what the original scrolls, scriptures, and the ancient writings were. But when you go to the Jewish people, they're holding on to some documents that they are going to state things different than what the Bible states, which actually is incriminating, or also you see that the hidden truths than what they want to describe. So right here in the Talmud that you see before you, it says here off to the right. First it says right here, Perkei de Rabbi Elazar. He is a rabbi, okay? We go over to the right. This is this composed Talmudic Israel, Babylon, C 6030 over to C 1030 CE, before the Common Era. You find this was composed 1,000 years ago. That this Rabbi Elazar, right, it says that is a midrash that retells and expands upon the stories of Torah from the creation of the world through the story of Miriam leprosy. Miriam was the sister of Moses. So he breaks down what you see over here, these chapters, in what he will retell and expand upon the stories based upon the Torah. Now the Bible was actually translated from the ancient writings. The Torah was one that you see today as the Bible. But King James did not see it fit for some things to be put into the Bible, being that he's an Englishman and these people were Catholics.
And gay.
Why do we need to put stuff that may apply to us, that we call ourselves Christians, when we're taking out a book of the Torah? Now the Torah, these ancient scrolls, scriptures, and ancient writings, were not from the Jewish people. It was from where they got our people. Of course, they took on of these writings that they find and developed by council of people to go ahead and develop what they would call in their Yiddish language, the Torah. Some would say it would be the Septuagint, or the Tanakh, or the Tanakh, whatever. You have these different names that are called. But here it actually says over here, if you look to your right, it incorporates discussions on topics like redemption, Messiah, and calculating the ends of days, traditionally considered to have been authored by Rabbi Elazar ben Hyrcanus in the time period of Mishnah, the 1st and 2nd centuries. The work was likely edited in the 8th and 9th century. Edited. But we're going to get over here to Noah, because this is a topic that one needs to understand. But before we get into understanding that, we see Rabbi Elazar, excuse me. It says here that he is an Agadic Midrash. What does that mean? That means he is a non-legalistic exegesis or exegesis, which appears in the classical rabbinic literature of Judaism, particularly the Talmud and the Midrash. In general, the Agada is the compendium of rabbinic texts that incorporates folklores, historical anecdotes, moral exhortations, and on. It says it's a work of the Torah containing exegesis and retells of biblical stories. Now, this rabbi is one that was considered to be a scholar during his day, that many relied upon to use what he had in front of him to be able to break down these chapters that were in the Torah concerning those 54 chapters, whether it might have been in Genesis or Exodus. So we find that he is an important part of this breaking down back then what was him writing those facts that were at hand that we don't have access to. Now the Talmud, what I'm going to be reading from, what is written in there, is the very thing that it says here is a central text from the rabbis' Judaism and the primary source of Jewish religious law. The term Talmud normally refers to the collections of writings named specifically the Babylonian Talmud, although there is also an earlier collection known as the Jerusalem Talmud. It may be also traditionally be called Shash. The Talmud has two components: the Mishnah, a written compendium of the oral Torah, and the Gemara, an elucidation of the Mishnah. Japheth had Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tabal, Adid. Now, you all are familiar with the Bible. And in the Bible in Genesis 10, it talks about the family tree of Noah. This is the family tree. Noah, who had Shem, Ham, and Japheth. After the flood, they themselves had sons. And so this breaks down the sons, the son of Japheth. Okay? Japheth had Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tabal, Mashish, and Taras. These also sons had other sons. You're going to find Gomer, who had Ashkenaz. Now, it doesn't sound familiar? Ashkenazi Jews. This is part of those people who were affiliated with the side of Japheth. Now, we're going to get into what does this rabbi, how do we know who these people are? Because we're going to get into what this rabbi says. But as it goes on and says right here in your Bible, that even Gomer and Javan had sons. And it says, it goes on to say that, let me go on here further down, that here in 5, it says that the Japheth and his sons, these were, right here, these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands. Now, if anybody knows anything about a little history, you're going to find Magog is Russia. You're going to find these are the northern plains, whether you want to say Russia and the Akistans, and Afghanistan. These are the northern parts of Africa, from northern parts of Africa. If you want to talk about Europe and all that, these are these people. But you say what's interesting, that your Bible reveals who these Gentiles are. Now, hold up. It says, by these were the isles of the Gentiles, divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families and their nations. He didn't say nothing about them being Jews. This is in the Bible.
Come on now.
But let's go on over here to see. Because then it also goes on and says Noah's other sons, which was Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. It goes on to say who Ham's sons were, and it gets on down to where it says that, and the beginning of his kingdoms was Babel, and it goes on to the names of those. It further will go on to his other son, where you're going to find out was Shem. Now we find that Shem is what we know of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the children of Israel, the 12 tribes, come from Shem. Now, let's go on over here to the Jewish people's writings over in the Talmud by their scholars, the rabbis, back in the day that I just read to you who this Eliezer was. He went and touched on this very verse in the Bible of who the sons of Noah was. And here it says, and it talks about the Nimrod and Tower of Babel, but it talks about Noah, and Noah specifically. For all y'all who believes in this Bible, right? Here on the side of the Torah that they have, that you don't have access to, that we know that the Bible was written by King James, which then other Bibles came out of that writings, changing my interpretations, that King James saw it fit not to use actually Hebraic terms in terminology, but yet put it in an English dialect for them and their people to understand. But he chose not to use or bring in certain things. But here you're going to read that Noah brought his sons and his grandsons, and he was blessed with them. There are several settlements, and he
check this out now.
Gave them as an inheritance all the earth. He especially blessed Shem and his sons, making them dark, but comely. Comely means beautiful or good, beauty in nature, or looking, or have you. And he gave them the habitable earth. Now, we know that dark is not white. We're going to get down to find out what that is. But we find that Shem, his son, was dark. Now, we know there are many shades of black, right? We know there are many shades of black.
Are you a man over 40?
Black goes from the blackest of the black all the way to white people. It's a proven fact, please do your research, that two white people cannot make a black baby. But two black people can. But it says here, he especially blessed Shem and his sons, making them dark but comely. And he gave them the habitable earth. He blessed Ham and his sons, making them dark like the raven, and gave them as an inheritance.
So he made Ham descendants dark like the raven. Blue black. Okay. Right divided. Okay.
Coast of the sea. He blessed Japheth, and his sons, making them entirely white, and gave them for an inheritance the desert and its fields. These are the inheritance.
So now let's look at that. So he said he gave Japheth the sons the desert and cold places. Well, what these curses on Cain? Curse on Cain is the earth is not going to yield to you. There it is right there. It's Cain's descendants. But then look what he did with Shem. He gave them the inhabitable earth. That's Africa. All the places where the environment, the weather, and all that's good. Vegetation, tropical rainforests, and all that. See that? You can see right here. These ain't none of all these boys ain't none of his sons. There's 3 different nationalities of people. And it's already been broke down. So you want to check that out is go back to Africa. There's the hidden writings of Jewish Tomar described Noah's sons. So anyway, my point is this before I close out is that Tomar, you hear him talking about the Tomar. I don't know, anybody know what the Tomar is?
Yeah, that's that book that them Jewish people really read out of.
Right. Yeah, they say that Moses on Mount Sinai, the Lord of hosts talking to him, and Noah dictated all that, but he also had some stuff that wasn't written down that was interpreted, and these Jews came and wrote it down later. But anyway, like I said, when way back in the day when Lord of hosts turned me around, I was in the suit. I was all up in the synagogue. I had a job on the road, environmental job. What I was doing in the army, so I was going from motel to motel, working on these different jobs. And when I get in these different cities, I would go to the synagogue. I was going to synagogue, so I was stowed, right? So all of a sudden, I was a reader, B student. I could have been an A student, but these people, I never was drawn to these people's knowledge anyway. So I just did what I had to do to get out of school, whatever. So, and I wasn't really a reader. So I ended up in the Books A Million, which is unbeknownst to me. I ended up in Books A Million in the Lord of Hosts, not me. I went right to the Talmud, man. And that's what turned me around. I went to the Talmud, then I found out you got 2 Talmuds. You got that Talmud he talking about, you got the Jerusalem Talmud. Those books, if you seriously seeking out the Most High, trying to get get at him and get at what's going on and what's happened, you got to acquire those books. Tomar. So anyway, and that's how, you know, like I said, I got flipped around. And from once I realized what was going on, just like Noah, I was telling you, Adam in the garden, he was created full grown, but he was naive and thought. That's where I was at. And the Most High, Lord, I was refused to keep me like that. Took me to the Books of Million, and I ran into the Tomar. Man, I never went to the synagogue after that. Once I had peep game. I was looking crazy at first. So I was like tits on the ball. But anyway, so he brought me out of there. But so like I was saying, the truth to all the things that we jacked up about is right there. They got it in their body. You gotta understand, these people don't know. They was there. They know who JC is. That's why they don't believe in it. They know how he came about it and all that. And they write about it in their books. Tomar. They write about it like right here. You over there. This is major. You know, you got some Negroes you gotta walk away from them. And you tell them Ham, Shem, and J-Fat ain't no brothers. You know, they ain't trying to hear nothing you gotta say no more. But there it is right there, he's telling you. And then all you have to do is look at it. How in the hell a black man that got having a white son, blonde hair, blue eyes, a black son, jet black like a raven, then you have another son, brown. That shit don't work.
Makes no sense.
No sense, man. So you thinking I'm a nut buggy, but Most High came and raised me up. He done wake me up. I'm trying to give you the truth. You sitting there looking at me like I'm a nut buggy. But like I said before, Moses was a warrior. He was slated to be the Pharaoh, and David was a king. But they don't go around boasting on that. So with that spirit, I can give a damn what you think. I don't get, if you don't even see me, you go on about your business. It's not affecting me. But you got so many people that trying to accommodate people and please, white folks and all that. I don't give a damn. And that's one of the characteristics that I had from day one. Not understanding I was being equipped for this. I don't give a damn if you don't believe it. I'm breaking it down to you. You ain't got to believe it. Yeah. Come on. I can't make this right here appear. Right here, I just showed you. I've been saying it for 10 years. J-Fat ain't on his son. Just telling you right here. Can't make that up. Yeah. So with that being said, in the comments, we had 2 hours. I try not to go over 2 hours. Anybody got a comment?
Quick question. So what he read out, that was the Talmud he was reading out of that it said the colors that he gave us. So he made us comely, and he made Ham jet black, and he made Japheth fair, white as snow, right? That's out of their book, right?
That's out of their book.
All right. There
you
you go.
He even go even deeper than that. Like I was saying, go back to the fallen angels. Go back go back to when Ezekiel saw the cloud and Yahweh was in there, but it was 4 beings in there with him, right?
Right.
He described the beings. He said they were blue black.
Yeah.
Okay. So didn't the fallen angels come and sleep with the women in Egypt?
Right.
They go to blue black.
The blue black.
Come on. Yeah. All right. And there's some. So with that being said, we're gonna pick some of this. We're gonna pick this conversation up at the 6 o'clock for our evening Shabbat class with some more information added with it. So with that being said, I want to say shalom to everybody, and see y'all this evening at 6 o'clock. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.